Hey, what's up guys? So I've been farming Obstructor for the better part of the last 10 hours or so. Seeing that Obstructor is a boss that you have to queue with randoms in a lot of cases, I have noticed a trend in the community, from at least what I can tell, not really understanding the break mechanic in the game. And after talking to the chat and just interacting with people, I get the feeling that a lot of players are not really understanding how the break mechanic works and how to use it efficiently. So in this video, I'm going to be pretty much showing you that. This isn't one of those videos of you're bad at the game or anything like that. We all need to learn how to do things because eventually there's going to be mechanics in the game that are going to be pretty tough, and you need players to be competent and understand the mechanics. Anyways, enough wasting time, let's dive right on into the video. So before I show you some examples of effectively using the break mechanic, let's go over what the break mechanic is so you guys have a better idea of how you should be using it. So if you press the tab key, you will notice that enemies have specific weak points that can be shot at, giving extra weak point damage. These weak points will eventually, after sustaining a good amount of damage, will eventually fall off and break off and sometimes even stagger the boss. And if it turns yellow, this means that you can in theory jump on top of that individual part and break it off manually, in a lot of cases triggering a stagger, making it easier to take down the boss. Now I think most players understand this mechanic and have actively been using it, and while that is good, some players actively use it in a pretty bad way in some cases. Case in point, whenever you see it immediately go yellow, I notice sometimes players will immediately jump on it, start punching it, and then get shaken off because they just immediately jumped on it and it wasn't dealt enough damage to break it. This will actually put it on cooldown from you not being able to actually jump on and actually trigger the break. On the other hand, and arguably the worst, when a Colossus is down and then they jump on a break point and start breaking it with no real reason to do so. This effectively wastes the stagger mechanic and you lose a ton of DPS that you otherwise could have gotten. But there is one other thing that a lot of players don't actively use to break for, which is in my opinion arguably the most important, is to prolong mechanics from happening. In my experience, the most effective way of using break is to pretty much stop enemies from entering into their enrage mechanic or their immunity mechanic, and more times than not, majority of the players are not using this, and I'm going to show you two examples of how to actively use this effectively, starting in team play. Now let's go over a Devourer fight that I had over on the stream today so you guys can have a better understanding of how to use this method more effectively. So Devourer has quite a few weak points, and you'll notice that I'm initially spamming the tab key to identify those weak points, and now you see all the different weak points. Now from a team perspective, what I generally would like the team to do is to target the weak points and get them all to yellow, and not initially like knock him down to the ground or anything or jump on it, just kind of wait. As you'll notice, as we're continuing to shoot him, that bar at the bottom here is starting to fill up as we do more and more damage, and once this enraged, he's going to go into his mechanic where he's going to like heal. So a way to use this effectively is we'll identify that he's getting a lot, it's going up, but you'll notice after he's staggered, that bar stops. He's staggered now and the bar is not moving even though we can't shoot at him, and he's going to go down here. Now what this means is we want to make sure that a shoulder is already yellow so that we can take advantage of shooting and hitting it to prolong the immunity stage, and once again to put him back into the stagger so we can get more damage out of it. Seeing that he is down, this bar is not going to fill up, and generally speaking I've noticed every boss is like this. They're in this down state, they're not going to fill up their immunity bar. So this gives us a little bit of time to pretty much deal some extra damage and possibly even get another point weak, which as you can see now on screen, I'm trying to actually do that. Now he's about to get up, and this is a prime time for us to essentially, he has a very clear opening, we can easily jump on it, and if we start to shoot him with all the damage that we're doing, that immunity bar is going to fill up quick. So in my head I say, okay, time to go ahead and jump on this and break this part. So here we go, he's starting to take damage, so I jump on it and break the part because he's going to go back down, and this gives my team opportunity to continue to deal damage while doing all of that. And because his bar is not going to go up, he's never going to get to the immunity phase and go invulnerable. So we're going to finish the fight here. I'm going to have to reload unfortunately, and that's just how it is, but it's fine because my team is actively still shooting this whole time. And by the time he get up and start taking damage towards his immunity, he's already dead, and we effectively killed the Devourer in like 45 seconds because we were able to use the break effectively rather than immediately jumping on and just breaking him immediately. And that's a problem that a lot of players have, where they will immediately jump on him and start to break him and actually lose out on a ton of damage, and most importantly lose out on the ability to prolong his immunity phase. So we are on another fight, and we're going to be facing off against Swamp Walker. If you like the weapon that you see on screen or the build that you're seeing me play with Enzo, I will have both of those videos linked down in the description. They're both very powerful builds, and I'm pretty sure this Enzo build is going to be like pretty core and meta because how powerful it is. But yeah, if you want to see those, they'll be linked down in the description. But we're facing off against Swamp Walker, and I want to point out a fight that I had with him so you guys can have a better understanding of how to do the break mechanic but in a more controlled situation. So you will notice as I'm shooting him, I'm dealing a ton of damage to his, to him. You'll notice the bar is filling up quickly. We're already back to halfway. He was just like, I don't know, a quarter, and he's halfway down. And that's obviously because Swamp Walker's mechanic, whenever he like enrages, very similar to the Devourer, is because of damage dealt to him or how much health he lost. They're about the same thing, I guess. Some people are different. Executioner, for example, those little drones on their backs that will like enrage them faster and stuff like that. For Obstructor, the little cube thing that your ally is in, if you don't break them out, that will once again enrage them quicker. There's different mechanics for each boss. You're going to have to learn them, but you'll notice that him, for example, whenever he takes a lot of damage, it goes up fast. Now you'll notice he goes down here and that bar stops, very similar to that of Devourer. Now as you can see what I did here, I primed one of them, and I'll rewind it for 10 seconds. You'll see that I already can identify, if you can see, that there's already one that is yellow on the right side, his right plate, or his left plate, and then there's another one. So he's at the opportunity where he's down, and at this point I say, well, I need to take down this plate and prime it, because what I want to do, or at least the aim at this moment, was to prolong his enrage phase, and the way we're going to do this is by dealing a lot of damage to him when he's down. So we're going to get that yellow, and then we're going to stop shooting. Now obviously when you're playing by yourself, the HP of things are much lower, including their plate, so this is going to be like a thing you need to get a feel for as a player. So Swamp Walker, for example, has a lot of HP, so he's going to be much easier to he's going to be much harder to break than someone like Devourer's plate if you're playing solo. So that's something to be aware of, and I may have maybe made a mistake here. Like I could have like almost like not been able to break it if I wasn't careful. But anyway, so we're going to buff up, and we're going to go around the corner, get our shield up. We're going to just keep shooting him in the body, and the point of this is to just get his bar as close as possible and just keep getting close. As you can see, we're still getting close, we're getting close, we're getting close, and then this is where I decide, okay, we're going to stop shooting him, we're going to get in position, and we're going to break him. I tried to reload during this time because I have a long reload, and I want to get as much damage out after I break him down, so that's why I'm kind of positioning myself this way. And I think I put down my thing here to get the weapon buff that gives me a massive crit buff, and now I'm going for the break. Now this shoulder's already been hurt because I've been shooting it, and this means now that bar isn't going up, and I'm dealing good amounts of damage to him without the bar going up, without him enraging. So he's getting up. I may have stopped shooting a little too early, but I was afraid that I was going to like enrage him because he's a little close. But that's fine. We're going to just retreat, kind of sit back and relax, get our buff back, reload, and be prepared for the next break phase. Whenever you break an opponent, they're going to be a cooldown. You see a little grappling hook there that represents that they cannot be grappled or be like jumped onto to break again. I didn't recognize this. I'm already trying to grapple him because I'm a Papega, but either way, that's what it means. So I'm just there, just waiting, and I'm just going to wait for that cooldown to go down and do it again. I'm already fully buffed up, have my shields good. He's about to do a shoot. I stand back because I didn't want that to push me back, as you can see, because that one does the pushback. And I'm just paying attention to the boss. It becomes available. Once again, I should have shot it a little more, but I didn't get punished too bad for it. And I was able to get the break once again and continue to deal a ton of damage to him without him going into the enrage phase. Now I'm not like able to kill him here because I just don't have the damage, and Swamp Walker is actually a pretty tanky boss in general. But ultimately this is an example of like a controlled situation where you can actually like use the break mechanic to prolong their invulnerability phases so that you and your team can get more damage. Imagine if I have like a Glay with my buff on her shooting all that time, and getting that extra damage. He's like 100% dead. And this is a good way for you as a player to effectively use the break mechanic so you can get more damage out of using the break mechanic effectively. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I don't want to make it too long. I think you guys get the idea of how to use break a little bit more. Once again, you're not going to be able to control every player in your team, especially if you're playing in a party. Obviously it's much easier because you can chat with each other and, you know, make those call outs so that you can get a lot of extra damage, and honestly it's just going to improve your game overall. Now, if this video did help you out, guys, consider leaving me a like as well as considering subscribing to the channel. And yeah, just like that, I'll see you in the next one very soon.